Welcome to Lesson 3 in My Size Unit 24, What's Consistent About Matter. In this lesson, students will answer the question, how can we use properties of matter to separate a mixture? They will discover that physical properties of matter, such as magnetism and size, can help separate the components of a mixture. In the Engage portion of this lesson, you'll need the mixed bag of bird seeds from the MySci kit. Show students the seeds and ask them, how do you know if what is in this bag is only one type of matter? Students should start pointing out the differences in the properties of the seeds. Allow them to use this discussion to review what they learned in the last section. In the Explore portion of this lesson, students will use the properties of matter to separate materials from each other. Students will need the Mixture Stations recording sheet found in the student journal as they travel around to the different stations trying to separate the materials in the mixtures. When using this handout, students should predict what materials they think are in the mixture at each station, and then they'll attempt twice to separate the different components of the mixture. They should explain what each of their attempts look like, including which tools they use to try to separate the materials. They will then record which tools worked best for each of the different stations. Each group will get a set of tools to help them separate mixtures. Students can use the magnet to separate magnetic materials from non-magnetic materials, tweezers to help separate materials based on size. They can use the filters to also separate materials with different sizes. They can use the coffee filter to help strain liquids through. And then the balloon allows to separate materials based on static electricity. Please note that the magnet should stay in the plastic bag as students do this experiment. It makes cleanup a lot easier. In the Explain portion of this lesson, you'll debrief the exploration the students just completed with the separation of the different mixtures. Groups will report their findings to the class and explain what happened. They should explain if their methods were successful or if their methods were unsuccessful. Next, ask students what materials were in each of the mixtures, and then why did certain tools work better for separating the different mixtures. At the end of the debrief, students should finish the bottom of the Mixture Stations recording sheet found in their student journal. Use the answer key found in the teacher pages to either guide the discussion or give students a word bank to help fill in the blanks. During the Elaborate portion of this lesson, the class will conduct an investigation to determine how separating a mixture affects the mass of the entire mixture. Students will need the worksheet Dividing Matter from their student journal. Go over the testable question. When you separate the components of a mixture, do the weights of the individual components add up to more, less, or the same weight as the original mixture? Allow students to choose one of the hypotheses listed on the handout. Underneath the hypothesis they choose, they should explain why they believe that will be the correct hypothesis. As a class, collect the data for this experiment. First, take the weight of the original mixture. Then separate the mixture into at least 3 components. Have students describe the components and put the weight of the individual components. At the end, students should add up the different weights of the components to see how that compares to the weight of the original mixture. They should then write their conclusion to the testable question. Students should use evidence from their data to support their conclusion. Use the answer key in the teacher pages to give you an idea of what the different components will be and how much they should weigh compared to each other. Use a spring scale or the electronic balance found in the kit to measure the weight of the rocks. At the end of the Elaborate, you'll have a discussion about what it means to separate mixtures in the real world. This could be anything from separating magnetic materials in a scrapyard using a large magnet, or separating the change in your pocket at a machine in the bank. In the Evaluate portion of this lesson, students will complete the formative assessment Mixtures Evaluate found in their student journal. Students will show their understanding of what a mixture is, how we can separate mixtures, and how mass of an entire mixture is affected when you separate the different components. By the end of this lesson, students will have conducted an investigation to separate mixtures based on their properties of matter. Students will discuss mixtures throughout this section and continue the conversation as they work on their design challenge.